quickly looking back on Tuesday, I imagine everyone's recovered now from that long old journey that we've done far too much this year.
Yeah, probably a feeling of good to get out of the way early in the season, where it's not in danger of being called off. Relatively content with the performance and the outcome in relation to picking up a hard-earned point. A shame it wasn't much of a spectacle with the weather. You were obviously there, so you felt it firsthand and how difficult it was to play any sort of quality football in the evening. But we showed a little bit of fight and a bit of heart and a good personality from the start and all the way through. So a pleasing performance. We stayed over just outside Wigan on Tuesday night and came back on the Wednesday. We spoke about how last season we felt these double headers in terms of 2 days travelling really affected the group going into the weekend. So we're hoping tomorrow they come back fresh and ready to do a little bit of training with a view for the weekend, which is our local derby, which isn't quite local enough, I'm afraid. Still over an hour away to Bristol, but our closest one, I'm sure one which is what they're going to come down well supported. And I'm sure the park will be pretty full this weekend and in good voice.
Like you said, it's as close as we're going to get this season. Bristol Rovers, they started the season at, they struggled in their first couple of games. A Bristol Rovers fan I spoke to earlier said sort of they still had that negative momentum from last season when they got relegated, but they picked up their first win of the season on Tuesday, which when you've been relegated, it's always best to just get that first win out of the way, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you watch their game, they were impressive on Tuesday, but I think that was a little bit closer than to what the manager wants to get to in terms of personnel and their playing style. Same with a lot of clubs and ourselves, no different. We've been a little bit disjointed with injuries and the COVID situation and players moving around in the transfer window. So you probably won't see the best of a lot of clubs until, well into the first half of the season. And Bristol Rovers, judging by their squad and the playing personnel have got, they should be a strong team at this level. But as always, we can't over-focus on the opposition. We can respect them and understand their threats and their dangers, but we've got to implement ourselves on the game this weekend. We're at home, we want to dictate the play, we want to dictate the pace of the game. And like I said, we hope it will be a good spectacle for those attending.
You mentioned their squad there. Brett Pittman and Aaron Collins, two signings that they've made. Talk about two players who know where the net is.
Yeah, like I say, Craig, I can't concentrate. I can't affect that in any way. My back line or my defenders will know full well about the dangers the opposition pose. But every team's got good players top of the pitch. We've got some good players ourselves, and we're looking forward to Sam Nombe coming back into the fold. We're looking forward to Patrick Armand having spent a bit more time within our environment, but also getting a game time on Tuesday. And a different type of game to what we faced on Tuesday, which was obviously a physical game ruined by the conditions, and hopefully playing some more football on the floor, a bit more free-flowing football and some more attacking football, which hopefully will create chances and potentially goals.
We've spoken about not scoring yet, but let's look defensively. 3 games out of 4 where we've kept a clean sheet. That must be pleasing. We're doing things right at one end, at least at the moment. Yeah,
I mean, there's some new faces in that back line, so to speak. But you defend as a team, you attack as a team. So credit goes to everyone on the pitch on Tuesday, and 3 out of 4 games we've been pleased with our defensive record. But goals change the feeling of games. To concede early at late note, you can see how that affected our confidence defensively. So we need to keep that platform as much as we can and keep on adding the natural layers to it, which is more in an attacking sense. And with the personnel we've got due to come back potentially for this weekend and in the next coming weeks, and we're looking forward to what the team's building towards. You want it to be perfect on day one of pre-season, of course you do. But unfortunately, circumstances have dictated we're not quite there at this moment in time. But it's not for the want of trying, and we're still moving in the right direction.
Injuries and absence-wise, obviously, you've mentioned Nombe is set for a return on Saturday. Archie Collins, now this is frustrating.
Yeah, look, he's injured. That was a hell of a whack, or a difficult one in terms of the diagnosis, because ligament-wise and tendon-wise and joint-wise isn't too bad, but in terms of the bone bruising, that needs time. The impact was a severe force, and unfortunately he's also in isolation at the moment as well, with family members testing positive for COVID. So Archie's not within the ranks, so to speak, but he's not a million miles away. He's walking pain-free, he's walking without crutches, which is always a good sign. The next stage for him will be out on the grass doing a little bit of jogging and a bit of ball work, and then we have to see how he reacts to that. But on positive news, Josh Coley's outside with a ball at his feet. The moment he joins back in with the group, then he won't be too far away. And like you just touched upon, we saw how Alex came back into the fold on Tuesday, probably sooner rather sooner than expected. But we hope Sam can have some sort of impact on the game this weekend.
Is there any indication yet about how long Jack Sparks may be out for? Obviously, I know he put a post up saying that he'd need surgery on that collarbone.
Yeah, he's seeing the surgeon today. He could be operated on tomorrow, but more than likely it might be the start of next week. And then depending on when the surgeon goes in and inserts a pin or plate, whatever he feels is needed to repair that broken bone, which is broken in 2 places, then we'll get a better idea of the time frames. But you'd expect a minimum of 3 months at least, judging by the operation and the feedback we're getting from the medical department at the moment. And it could be a little bit longer. Real shame for Jack. He's been excellent for us so far this season, and then not too dissimilar to when he got halfway through his breakthrough season and had that fracture in his knee. Almost not freak injuries, but breaking bones is a real shame. And hopefully, you know, you can damage your legs, but luckily for Jack, you don't think the collarbone will affect him too much in the future. And hopefully he'll play with a little bit of metal inside him. He'll have to be careful when he goes through the airport terminals and then the security checks. But that's part and parcel of being an elite athlete, I'm afraid. And we'll support Jack as best we can over the next few months. And welcome him back when he does come back. And when he does come back, he's got to be right physically and mentally, which he has been this pre-season. So a shame to lose him, and we wish him the best in relation to that operation. But I'm sure we'll see a good version of him when he does come back. Yeah, and of course we echo that as well. Finally, then, just touching back on the fans, I think we'll all agree the atmosphere for the Bradford game was superb. But there's that added noise now of a sold-out Bristol Rovers end, so it's probably going to be even louder. Yeah, so they've sold out, have they? So what's that in terms of numbers for Bristol Rovers? I believe it's about 1,100-1,200. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And we know our fans are better when there's noise at the other end. You can go against each other, you can sing against each other. They'll be supporting their team, our fans will be supporting our team. And like I say, it's our closest one. I'm sure we'll go in even bigger numbers when we go to Bristol Rovers later on in the season. And we always do. We're always well supported when we go away from home. But our fans, we spoke about them briefly on Tuesday. What was it, 195 or 197 on Tuesday night? On not a cold night, but certainly a blustery night, and they'll get battered by the wind. But I've seen a performance full of character, and that's what our fans want to see. We were obviously disappointed with our first half display at Leyton Orient. We didn't feel that was what we'd been building towards. But the fans want to see excitement as well, and we hopefully will provide that in some aspects this weekend. And you look at the clubs at our level, Bristol Rovers always seem a big club, well supported, big squad of players, a manager who is well known in the football world, and it's a game which should excite our fans as much as our players. All right, Matt, thanks a lot.